Have you ever wondered why some homes have that special charm that makes us feel good just by looking at them? You know those homes that aren't perfect, but still look like they came out of a magazine? There's a secret behind this, and today, you'll discover exactly how to create that ambience in your own home. What I'm going to show you here isn't about having an impeccable home where nothing can go out of place. In fact, it's just the opposite. I'm going to show you how the most elegant homes in the world manage to be organized and at the same time full of life and personality. If you keep watching until the end, you'll learn 10 simple techniques that will completely transform the way you see and organize your home. Many people believe that an organized home has to be cold and devoid of personality. They spend hours trying to make everything perfect, but the end result looks like a hospital. If you've ever felt this way, there's a much better way to do it, a way that combines practical organization with that special touch that makes a house feel like a real home. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn why trying to be perfect at organizing could be sabotaging your home's charm. I'll show you how to create spaces that are functional, but also tell a story. Most importantly, you'll learn how to do it without spending a fortune or needing professional help. If you stick around until the end, I'll reveal the most powerful technique I use to create that perfect balance of organization and personality in any room in the home. Tip 1. Leave some intentional imperfections. The first thing you need to understand is that perfection kills charm. When everything is perfectly aligned and symmetrical, our mind interprets it as artificial. This is why many organized homes look like cold showrooms instead of welcoming homes. The intentional imperfections technique works like this. After organizing a space, you purposefully break the symmetry in certain spots. For example, if you have 3 books arranged by size on a shelf, place one of them at a slight angle. If you have perfectly aligned pillows on your couch, leave one of them slightly wrinkled. This may seem strange at first, but it works because our brains associate small imperfections with real life, with real people living in that space. When you visit a house where everything is mathematically perfect, you subconsciously feel like you can't touch anything, that you can't relax there. To put this into practice, start small. After you've set up your coffee table, leave a magazine slightly out of place. In the kitchen, after you've lined up all the pots and pans, rotate one of them a few degrees to break up the uniformity. In the bedroom, make the bed perfectly, but leave one of the pillows slightly tilted. The result is surprising. You will notice that the environment becomes much more inviting and cozy. People will feel more comfortable in your home because it will convey that it is a place where they can truly live, not just admire. Tip 2. Use objects with personal history as organizers. The second secret to creating a stylish and organized home is to turn your memories into organizing solutions. Instead of buying new and impersonal organizers, use objects that are already part of your or your family's history. That wooden box that belonged to your grandmother could become the perfect organizer for your important documents. The glass jar left over from a special candy can hold your makeup brushes. A tray you received as a gift can organize the items on your nightstand. When you use objects with personal meaning, 2 things happen at once. First, you solve a practical organizational problem while spending 0 money. Second, you add layers of history and personality to the space. Every time someone looks at that organizer, they see not only functionality, but also a piece of your life. To put this into practice, take an inventory of the special objects you have stored away. This could be an old tin can, a basket you no longer use, a vase that's been sitting on the side, or trays you've forgotten about in the cupboard. Think about how each item can solve an organizational problem you have. For example, if you have trouble organizing your computer cables, a DIY shoebox could be the solution. If your cleaning supplies are always scattered around, an old basket could organize them in an organized and charming way. The benefits go far beyond organization. You will rediscover objects that had sentimental value and were forgotten. Your home will tell its story through organization, and this is what creates that authentic charm that no amount of money can buy. Tip 3. Mix different textures in the same color. one of the most powerful techniques for creating elegance without sacrificing organization is to work with different textures within the same color palette. This means you can have multiple items in the same color, but with completely different finishes, creating visual interest without creating clutter. The problem with many organized homes is that they end up looking monotonous. Everything is too uniform, too the same. When you introduce different textures while keeping the colors harmonious, you add depth and sophistication to the space without compromising the sense of order. In practice, it works like this. Choose a neutral color as the base for a room, such as beige, gray, or white. Now, instead of using only plain objects in that color, mix different finishes. A matte ceramic vase, a natural wicker basket, a textured fabric, a wooden object in the same tone. For example, on a bookshelf in your living room, you could have books with beige covers, a light straw basket, a matte beige ceramic vase, and a knitted blanket in the same shade. Visually, everything harmonizes and keeps things organized, but each item has its own personality through its texture. This technique is especially powerful in small spaces, where too many different colors can create a messy feel. By using different textures in the same color, you can achieve visual richness without losing the elegance of simplicity. The benefits are immense. First, you don't have to worry so much about matching colors perfectly. Second, you can reuse many items you already have at home by simply regrouping them by color. Third, the space looks sophisticated in a natural way, without looking like you put in too much effort. Before continuing, if you're enjoying these tips, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any new videos. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love to know what city you're from. Now let's move on to the next tip, which is one of my favorites. Tip 4. Create odd groupings of objects. The fourth technique that will transform your home is to work with groupings of odd numbers. Our brains have a natural tendency to find groups of 3, 5, or 7 objects more interesting and elegant than groups of 2, 4, or 6. This is because even numbers create symmetry, and total symmetry can seem too rigid and formal. Odd numbers create a more organic and natural type of balance, which is exactly what we want to create in order to have an elegant home without looking like a museum. When you group objects in odd numbers, you create focal points that are interesting to the eye, but don't compete with each other for attention. The brain can process this information more fluidly and pleasantly. To apply this in practice, start by observing the groups of objects in your home. If you have 4 pictures on the wall, try removing 1 or adding another to make 3 or 5. If you have 2 vases on a shelf, add a third element, such as a book or a small plant. On the coffee table, instead of placing just 2 symmetrical items, use 3 items of different heights. This could be a short vase, a medium-sized book, and a tall candle. On the bedroom dresser, group 3 objects together instead of 2 or 4. Interestingly, this rule also works with larger items. If you have 2 armchairs in your living room, consider adding a poof or a tall plant to create a grouping of 3 items. The visual result is always more dynamic and interesting. This technique is especially powerful because it works with any decor style and budget. You don't need to buy anything new, just rearrange what you already have in a more strategic way. And best of all, it can be applied to any room in the house, from the living room to the bathroom. Tip 5. Use trays to create micro-organizations. The 5th tip is one of the most transformative you'll learn today. Trays are like frames for organization. They create visual boundaries that make any grouping of objects look intentional and elegant, even if the objects are completely different from each other. The power of the tray lies in the fact that it visually unifies different elements. You can place items that have nothing to do with each other on a tray, and the result will still look organized and thought out. It's as if the tray tells our brain that all those objects are part of a whole. This solves one of the biggest problems in home organization, which is dealing with small objects that need to be accessible but that create visual clutter on their own. Remote controls, keys, glasses, medicines, cosmetics, all of these items look much more elegant when grouped together on a tray. To use this technique, start by identifying the spots in your home where small objects tend to accumulate. This could be your coffee table, your kitchen counter, your bedroom dresser, or your bathroom sink. For each of these spots, choose a tray of the appropriate size. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. A simple wooden tray, a serving dish you no longer use, or even a deep plate can work. The important thing is that it's big enough to group the items without feeling cramped, but small enough that it doesn't take up too much space. For example, on your coffee table, use a tray to group together your remote control, a small vase, and perhaps a book you're reading. On your kitchen counter, a tray could hold your sugar bowl, salt shaker, and a small vase of spices. In the bathroom, your everyday items will look much more organized on a pretty tray. The result is immediate. Even if you don't change anything else in your decor, just using trays will make your home look more organized and sophisticated. Tip 6. Leave intentional blank spaces. The sixth technique may seem contradictory, but it is one of the most important. Leaving empty spaces on purpose. Many people, when organizing, feel the need to fill every available inch. This is a mistake that makes any space visually tiring. Empty spaces are not waste, they are a rest for the eyes. They allow the brain to better process the elements that are present and give more importance to each item. When everything is filled, nothing really stands out. Think about a shelf, for example. If you place objects in every available inch, the result will be a visual clutter, even if each item is in its right place. But if you leave some empty space between the groupings, each group will gain more presence and elegance. The general rule of thumb is to only fill 2/3 of any surface or shelf. 1/3 should be left free. This applies to bookshelves, countertops, coffee tables, dressers, and any surface where you place decorative or functional objects. To put this into practice, start by removing 1/3 of the objects from each surface in your home. You don't have to throw them away, just store them temporarily. You'll immediately notice how much more breathable and elegant your space becomes. On the living room shelf, instead of filling each shelf completely, leave some areas empty. On the kitchen counter, keep only the essential items in view, storing the rest in cabinets. On the bedside table, limit yourself to 3 or 4 items maximum. This technique has a practical benefit as well. With fewer objects on display, cleaning becomes much easier and faster. And when you have guests over, they'll comment on how organized and spacious your home looks, even if it's not very big. Empty space is as important a design element as any decorative object. It creates elegance, sophistication, and a sense of calm that is impossible to achieve otherwise. Tip 7. Incorporate natural elements in a functional way. The 7th tip is about bringing nature into your home in a way that is both beautiful and useful. Natural elements have a unique power to make any space more welcoming and elegant, but the key is to use them in a functional way, not just decorative. Plants are obvious, but let's go beyond that. Think about baskets made of natural fibers to organize objects, wood to support and divide spaces, stones to create focal points, dried branches to hang lightweight items. All of these elements bring life and personality to the space while solving practical problems. The secret is to choose natural elements that serve a purpose. A pretty basket that organizes your blankets, an interesting branch that serves as a coat rack for necklaces or scarves, smooth stones that work as paperweights, a rustic wooden board that becomes a spice rack. To get started, take a walk around your neighborhood or visit a nearby park. Look for interestingly shaped fallen branches, smooth rocks, and undamaged dry leaves. It doesn't have to be anything exotic, just something that catches your eye. At home, think about how each natural element can solve an organization problem. A sturdy branch can be attached to the bedroom wall to hang necklaces and bracelets. Rocks can be used as weights to keep papers organized on your desk. A large, dried, treated leaf can serve as a natural base for arrangements. In the kitchen, use straw baskets to organize fruits and vegetables. In the bathroom, a small plant that likes humidity can be placed in a corner while purifying the air. In the living room, a vase with dried branches can be more interesting than expensive flowers that wilt quickly. The advantage of natural elements is that they never go out of style and can be used in any decor style. Plus, many are free or very inexpensive, and there's something very satisfying about using nature's own resources to create beauty and organization in your home. Before I move on to the next tip, I want to tell you about something special I prepared for those who want to go beyond this video. It's a complete guide with organization secrets that completely transformed my home and can transform yours too. The link is in the pinned comment, and for a limited time, I'm offering a special discount for channel subscribers. Now let's continue with the next tips, which are some of my favorites. Tip 8. Create lighting layers. The 8th technique is about using different types of light to create atmosphere and highlight your organization. A home can be perfectly organized, but if the lighting is inadequate, none of it will show up properly. Light is what reveals and enhances all of your work. Layered lighting means using 3 different types of light in the same room. General light, which illuminates everything equally. Task light, which focuses on specific activities. And ambient light, which creates coziness and highlights decorative elements. Many homes rely on general lighting, which is usually a bright overhead light. This makes the room feel flat and impersonal. When you add other light sources, you create depth and visual interest that greatly enhances your home. To do this without spending a lot, start by identifying the areas in your space that deserve to be highlighted. This could be a well-organized bookshelf, a reading corner, or a tidy countertop. For each area, add a specific light source. Use lampshades to create soft, cozy light. A table lamp can highlight a beautiful grouping of objects. LED strips behind shelves create elegant, indirect light. Even strategically placed candles can make a difference. In the living room, combine the overhead light with a lamp in the corner, and perhaps a small lamp on a shelf. In the kitchen, in addition to the main light, use an under-cabinet light to illuminate the organized countertop. In the bedroom, a lamp on the bedside table, and perhaps an indirect light behind the headboard. The result is transformative. The same organization that previously went unnoticed now gains prominence and elegance. People will notice the careful details of your tidying up much more when they are well lit. Additionally, different types of light allow you to adjust the ambiance to suit the time of day and your mood. During the day, use more natural light. At night, turn on only soft lights to create a cozy atmosphere. Tip 9. Use mirrors to visually enlarge and organize. Tip number 9 is about the power of mirrors to create a sense of space and order. Mirrors not only make rooms appear larger, they can also be used strategically to visually organize a space and create stylish focal points. When you position a mirror so that it reflects a well-organized part of your home, you're visually doubling that organization. It's like having twice the beauty and order in the same space. A well-positioned mirror can transform a tidy corner into a style statement. The most powerful technique is to place the mirror in front of something beautiful and organized. This could be a well-organized bookshelf, a sideboard with interesting objects, or a wall with well-arranged pictures. The reflection will create a sense of continuity and spaciousness. To put this into practice, first identify the most beautiful and organized areas of your home. Then find positions where a mirror can reflect these areas. It doesn't have to be a large and expensive mirror. Sometimes several small mirrors create an even more interesting effect. In the living room, a mirror behind the sofa can reflect the opposite wall if it is well decorated. In the kitchen, a small mirror can reflect organized shelves or a tidy countertop. In the hallway, mirrors can reflect paintings or plants, creating a gallery effect. One advanced technique is to use mirrors to create symmetry where there isn't any naturally occurring symmetry. If you have a beautiful piece of furniture on one side of the room, a mirror on the other side can visually balance the space even if there's nothing to reflect it exactly. Mirrors also help with natural light. Positioned to reflect a window, they spread natural light throughout the room, making your organization more visible and attractive during the day. The benefits go beyond the visual aspect. Rooms with well-positioned mirrors convey a sense of spaciousness and sophistication that is very difficult to achieve with other elements. And unlike other decorative items, mirrors never go out of style. Tip 10. Maintain personality through small collections. The 10th and final tip is about how to maintain your personality in an organized home through small collections. Many people are afraid that organizing means losing individuality, but in fact you can use your passions and interests as organizing elements. The key is to choose one or two things that you truly love to collect and display them in an organized and intentional way. Instead of scattering your favorite objects all over your home, group them in specific spots where they create visual impact and tell their story. It can be anything that has meaning to you: books by a favorite author, small vases, interesting stones you've collected on your travels, antique teacups, succulents. The important thing is that it's something authentic to your personality. The key is how you display your items. Instead of leaving them scattered around, create a dedicated space for your collection. A specific shelf, a countertop, a corner of your bookshelf. This space becomes a focal point of your personality within the overall organization. To apply this, first identify what you really enjoy collecting or keeping. This could be something you didn't even realize you collected, like cute mugs or small plants. Then, choose the best place to display this collection in an organized way. Use the principles we've already learned. Group in odd numbers. Leave empty spaces between groups. Use a tray or stand to visually unify. Keep only the best pieces of your collection on display, saving the rest for rotation. For example, if you collect books, dedicate an entire shelf to your favorites. If you like small plants, create a green space on a well-organized countertop. If you have special cups, display a few on a well-lit kitchen shelf. The result is a home that is organized but clearly belongs to someone with their own personality and interests. People will not only notice that your home is tidy, but they will also get to know a little bit about who you are through these focal points. This is perhaps the most important tip of all, because it shows that organization and personality are not opposites. In fact, when done well, organization can highlight and further enhance what makes you unique. We've reached the end of these 10 techniques that will completely transform the way you see and organize your home. You've learned that elegance has nothing to do with perfection, but rather with a balance between organization and personality. You've discovered how to use intentional imperfections, objects with history, different textures, and strategic groupings to create a sophisticated and welcoming environment at the same time. The most important thing of all is to understand that you don't have to choose between an organized home and a home with personality. The two can and should go hand in hand. When you apply these techniques, you're creating a home that not only functions well on a day-to-day basis, but that also reflects who you are and makes everyone feel welcome. Now it's time to put it into practice. Start with a technique that caught your attention the most and apply it to a room in your home. You'll be surprised at the difference that small changes can make. Remember, the goal isn't to have a magazine-worthy home, but rather a home that works for your life and makes you feel good every day. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos about organization and decoration. And tell me in the comments, which of these tips are you going to try first in your home? I love reading your experiences and responding to each comment. Until the next video, and remember, your perfect home is the one that works perfectly for you.